hello, welcome back to my channel. I hope all is well. Today I want to come and briefly talk about tips for relocating and adjusting to a new city for young professionals. So this video was inspired by a blog that I actually wrote a few months ago. It was a guest blog on one of my favorite sites. It's called Peaches, Beaches, and Urbanistas, and it's about two young ladies who just finished college and recently relocated. One is in California, and the other is in Georgia, and so they blog about their experiences, and I had the opportunity to guest blog on their site. So I'll leave the link to their site below as well as the link to the original post. But I decided to come and make a video because though I've been living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a year and a half, I'm from Chicago, I was really good with following these tips when I first moved here. Then I started to get a little too comfortable, and now I'm a homebody, and some of my friends have moved away or, pursued other endeavors, and now I'm like, okay, you need to get back out and be social and continue to build your life here. So figured making this video would inspire me to do it myself. So I want to dive right into my tips for relocating for young professionals. So tip number one is to, if you can, visit the city that you're going to live in. The internet is great for research and looking at pictures, but there's nothing like actually visiting the city prior to moving. So I had the opportunity while in college to intern here in Pittsburgh, so I was familiar with the area. I knew what I was getting myself into. But then also when it was time to look for apartments, my mom and I came to visit after graduation, and it was like some of the apartments that looked really good online. When I got there, it was like the swindle. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're not, setting yourself up for failure, because especially in a city like Pittsburgh, where if you live right in the heart of the city, things like public transit, and restaurants and attractions, like those things are more prevalent. But as you start to get into the outskirts, as with most places, public transit, for example, riding bus or train to work can become a hassle. So, if you can, visit the city that you're moving to when you're apartment hunting, ask questions around public transit, the nearest highways, how far are the grocery stores or whatever your favorite places are. For me, how far is Starbucks from here? One of my favorite places, I like to work in coffee shops. So, really survey the area of where you are, especially if you're not going to have a car and you may not move to a city like New York or Chicago, where not having a car is okay. It's very easy to figure it out. Here in Pittsburgh, depending on where you're living, not having a car can be a huge detriment. So clearly understanding, well, if I'm not going to have a car, I really want to live in that inner city area closer to the downtown region, as opposed to, out closer to the suburbs where I kind of live now. But if you can, make it a day trip, hop in the car, road trip, or, get the flight and visit where you're moving. Tip number two. So once you move and you get all settled, get involved as soon as you can. So luckily, I moved to Pittsburgh right after college, and so it was in my spirit to be heavily involved as I was on campus. And again, because I interned here, I already kind of knew of the different organizations that I wanted to look into. So some examples include your school's alumni chapters, alumni chapters of like sororities or different programs you may have been in school. Also, the Urban League Young Professionals is really huge here. I was active with the National Black NBA while I was in school, so I was able to pick that back up here. But also just Google nonprofit organizations in the area or young professionals groups. So you'll find a lot of those things, and try to attend, as many events as you can. A lot of these organizations do offer free events or events open to the public, so you can kind of get in, mix and mingle, and number one, see, if you want to join. So dues are not cheap, so really get out and do what we like to call date an organization. So go to a few events, set up coffee meetings with some of the board members, and see if it's really worth the money that you'll have to pay to become a member. And also volunteer work. So whatever your passion is, get involved, whether it's Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or the Junior Achievement Society here. Figure that out. And for me, I just did a lot of research on mentoring programs. I came across a great program here called the Pearl Club, which mentors high school girls. So that for me was something I definitely wanted to get involved with. So definitely use the internet to your advantage and look up organizations in the city that cater to young professionals or that cater to whatever your passion is, and jump right in, get involved, and don't be shy. The next thing, tip number 3, is attend as many events as you can. Of course, being conscious of cost and things like that, but I know when I first moved to Pittsburgh, there were a lot of different happy hours going on and just networking events and things like that. For me, sounded very intimidating because I'm really introverted. I'm really shy when I first meet people, so it just sounded very daunting. But when I first moved here, I don't know, I had more courage, I would say. So I just went to stuff and hoped for the best. And sometimes I was, just kind of people watching and observing. But as I started to go to more events, I kept running into a couple of the same people. I would see, at least one person that I've seen before in a crowd, and I was able to ask questions, like, well, what brought you here? What else are you involved in? Is there anyone here that you think would be good for me to meet? And more often than not, I've met more nice people than I've met more mean people. So that really helped me build some connections here, understand, what or other organizations I could potentially be involved with, and also just from a social perspective, making new friends and solidifying those relationships. Another tip I have is to find some places in the city that you're moving to that relate to your own individual interests. So, in other words, find what you love. So, if you're a huge fan of jazz cafes, then go on the hunt and find them. One thing that I actually learned about myself recently is that I'm actually not afraid to go out by myself, to, sit at a counter or sit at a table and eat by myself or anything like that. And I've only done it like twice. Once was like in the airport, another time was in a small coffee shop. But I was surprisingly comfortable, and it was something that I wouldn't necessarily think. But you shouldn't let the fact that you may not have anyone to invite out with you to hold you back from exploring the things that you love. So for me personally, I'm a huge fan of coffee shops. Coffee shops. My name is Kashira, and I am addicted to Starbucks. Like, it is serious. But I like the feel of just locally owned coffee shops, and so I've just been on the hunt to find as many as I can, have a drink there, do some work on my laptop and enjoy that ambiance. So whether it's art galleries or jazz clubs, or if you like to bar crawl or whatever, don't be afraid to actually go out and explore. And 9 times out of 10, you'll probably make friends once you're there, because people watching, you make eye contact and start a conversation, and there you have it. You've expanded your network while doing what you love. So take advantage of the local entities, explore the city, make it an adventure. Again, keep in touch with people that you meet at the various networking events and organizational meetings that you go to. Schedule meetings with them, which then turns into hanging out, going to dinner or out for drinks, if it's movies, or, girls' night or guys' night or whatever that may be, and solidify those relationships. Also, be patient. You're not going to make BFFs right away. And the life after college is real. It gets real fast. And it's going to take a while to develop those bonds that you had in college, that you had back home, or wherever you're moving from. So understand that those things take time. A year and a half later, I am still trying to figure it out. But as long as you make it an adventure and you have a positive outlook and a positive mindset about it, it will all work out. I promise. So with that, if you have any additional tips on how to adjust to a new city, or tips for relocating in general, please comment below. I'd love to know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please like, and also if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it very much. Feel free to visit my website, twomovesahead.net. That's the number 2. And check out my blog and some of my other content. So I look forward to connecting with you all in the next video. Bye!